My name is Cristina Egenter. Now I work with WWF. Actually, I've been working with WWF for a long, long time, but in Indonesia. So I feel that Indonesia is a little bit of a part of my life. And I'm also a member of the Women Caucus. The last 3 years, I've been trying to support them as much as possible. So it's my second CBD family.
Could you share with me what are your top priorities for this COP16 and what are some of the work you're involved with?
I continue to have a double hat. So as WWF, I focus on human rights-based advocacy, gender equality, the same issue a little bit like the Women Caucus. So there is a convergence there, which I like very much, and good synergies, right? So I'm following item AJ, which is the implementation of the article AJ on traditional knowledge, practices and innovation, and a new program of work. And then I follow, for the Women Caucus, I follow monitoring, framework, planning and review, PMMR is the new acronym, something we need to get used to. And then I follow another item, a little bit of a minor item, but very important for human rights-based approach and gender equality, which is technical and scientific needs to support the implementation of the GBF.
Could you share a little bit more? What does that translate as?
We struggle a little bit to have human rights-based approach, gender equality, equity, intergenerational equity, recognized as a cross-cutting theme, recognized across many of the COP decisions. I'm saying is opening the door to the production, to the creation, co-creation, hopefully, of guidance and tools that will be used by parties and whole of society, that is other stakeholders and rights holders, to support the implementation of the GBF, at national level to support the implementation of their MBSAPs, and eventually, I think, to achieve the 2030 mission. So this small item, it's one way we can secure some good language to work on and an opportunity for the future. We want to make sure human rights language is in it and stays in it.
Why does it matter to have gender in there as well?
Okay, how can we make sure that what parties in a convention like this commit to doing? How can we make sure that they go beyond the committing to doing something and actually do something? How do we measure that? How do we make sure? How do we give them instruments to measure themselves and show how good they've done in terms of advancing on certain agendas? That's why we need a monitoring framework. That's all there is. And we need good indicators, right? So the issue with the gender, we finally got, for the first time ever, historic achievement. During COP15, we had a famous target 23 on gender equality, women's rights, participation, leadership, and so on. All that we always wanted. We also got a GPA, right? Second Gender Plan of Action. But this target, all other targets, no, not all, but almost all other targets have a headline indicator. Target 23 doesn't have one. And you wonder, is that a lesser target than the others, right? No, they're all targets. They should be all the same. We should give instrument to parties that can measure how they're advancing in terms of reducing inequality and promoting gender equality and women's rights over resources, access to justice, access to information, full protection of women, environmental and human rights defenders, right? So that instrument is not there yet. We don't have a headline indicator. Hopefully, this COP decision will allow for a process after COP, from this COP to the next COP, to possibly strengthen, adjust, or even develop new headline indicators. That's what we really want. There are other issues as well, but maybe we need to remind ourselves that implementation happens at national level. Therefore, we need to make sure, talk with parties, support them, inform them about this, that they have gender indicators also at national level for their national targets, right? So we meant global level, national, regional, local, everywhere.
Do you see some trends or dynamics in terms of like some of the key allies that are supporting the having mentions of human rights and gender into the texts? And then in relation to that, what do you think can be used to convince people or states or other parties who are a little bit more on the fence? Can you give us a sense of the kind of inner power dynamics?
I forgot to mention that I have also a third hat, which is still connected with the other two hats, which is I'm a member of the Human Rights and Biodiversity Working Group. And I need to mention that because it's such a large coalition and the Women Caucus is part of it, Indigenous Network, NGOs, civil society organization. It's a broad and diverse platform, and that really sort of reminds us of how important collective action is. So coming back to your good question, I might not have a lot of insights, but let me just say something about this particular COP. It was hailed as the People's COP, right? I think they got it. Colombia really did a great work by inviting, by being inclusive, and so on. You see around a lot, never seen so many events talking about human rights, talking about indigenous people rights, talking about gender, women empowerment, and so on. It's been fantastic. It's a lot going on. It's really buzzing. But then when you walk into the negotiation rooms, it's like a different world. And so you still have struggled to put the word women in it, to put the word human rights-based approach, or to recognize it, that is important for the realization of the GBF, and one that is effective, sustainable, inclusive, and just. So yeah, there is still that gap. But also, I believe, has to do with understanding. There is still a lot of information that needs to be shared, a lot of talking with parties, talking with other stakeholders on the importance of this. The Women Caucus has fantastic outreach, but we need to continue to do so, because it's not so much the ideology of it. Sometimes politically there might be, some governments that have a little bit of a allergy to these issues, or they call it something else. But it's a lot to do with lack of information, lack of understanding how this could really be a turning point in terms of achieving what we need to achieve. A world where nature and people live in harmony.
Is there anything else that you want to share? Maybe your hopes for what's to come, or... Yeah.
I didn't say that at the beginning, but there is no real decision that is gender-related decision at this COP, right? So we have a hard work to do, and our brothers, but mostly sisters, I just don't want to leave them out, have been doing, actually there are some brothers active in the Women Caucus, of course, have been doing a fantastic job in terms of making sure that gender is really mainstream, mentioned, referred to, and is up on the in every COP decision. And this is hard to do because, yes, parties say, well, this decision is about this, it's not about gender, right, and so on. But this is, again, as I said, with the energy of this People's COP, I think it's a very good future for the COP, and look forward to the next COP and everything that comes in between. Thank you.
Thank you.